All right, you know the scene. It's late, you're scrolling in bed, and your feed is just full of people who are supposedly crushing it online. It feels like everyone has figured out how to make money from home, except you. Yeah, let's talk about that. Because that feeling, it's everywhere, and we're going to get to the bottom of it.
And then you see a post like this one. Some guy you've never heard of is apparently pulling in 12 grand a month just from his laptop. You can almost hear the quotes around it. It just seems way too easy, doesn't it?
So you keep scrolling and then bam, another one hits you. 30,000 bucks in just 60 days. And this time, the magic ingredient is AI. The numbers just keep getting bigger and the timeline shorter. It's almost designed to make you feel like you're missing out.
And then you get the final gut punch. This one isn't even a promise anymore. It's a flat-out warning. If you're not earning online, you're already behind. It's meant to create this instant panic, right? This feeling that you're somehow failing if you haven't cracked this code yet.
And through all this noise, you're just trying to figure out what's real. I mean, you've probably Googled it and been flooded with scams or promises that just feel off. It all boils down to this one simple but super important question. And that is exactly what we're going to unpack today. So first things first, we've got to tackle what I call the online money myth. See, the problem isn't a lack of opportunity, not at all. The real issue is that most of us are chasing a complete fantasy, and it's what's keeping people stuck. So let's tear it apart. Okay, this right here is the big shift in thinking, the game changer. We're all conditioned to ask the wrong question. We hunt for the method. Should I do drop shipping? Is it crypto? What's the hot new thing this week? But that is a dead end. The real question, the one that actually leads to a paycheck, is what problem can I solve consistently for someone else?
And that brings us to the core concept, value creation. Look, the internet is not some magic ATM that just spits out cash because you're logged in. It's a tool. It's a massive, incredible tool that connects you to people and businesses who have problems they will happily pay you to solve. That's it. That is the engine behind every real way to make money online.
And listen, this isn't some tiny niche trend we're talking about. The numbers prove this is a massive economic shift. I mean, 27% of all paid work in the US is now remote or hybrid. Think about that, over a quarter, and it's still growing. The opportunity is very, very real. It's backed by data, not just some guru's hype.
Okay, so how do you actually create that value? Well, it turns out that pretty much every legit way to earn money from home can be sorted into one of three simple buckets. You're either selling your time, your skills, or your assets.
Yeah, these are the three pillars. First, you've got selling your time. That's going to be the fastest way to see some cash. Then there's selling your skills, which is way more scalable. And finally, selling your assets. That's where you find the highest ceiling, the biggest long-term potential. Let's break down that progression. Selling your time is basically a remote job. It's great for stability. 20 bucks an hour gets you $1,600 a month. Predictable. But you're always capped by the number of hours in a day. Now, selling your skills, that's the next level. A client doesn't really care if it takes you 1 hour or 10 to write a killer email sequence. They care about the outcome. If you can make them thousands of dollars, they'll happily pay you a big chunk of that. See the difference? You get paid for results, not for clocking in.
Now for the third one, selling assets. This is things like a YouTube channel, a course, a digital product. It's the dream for a lot of people. But here's the catch, and it's a big one. It's a psychological challenge. Our brains are wired for immediate rewards, right? That little dopamine hit when you get a sale or a like. Building an asset means you might work for months with crickets, nothing. And that's when most people quit. Getting past that is the entire game. All right, enough theory, let's get down to brass tacks. We're going to look at 5 realistic, specific methods that you could actually start working on.
So here are some real options. For example, AI automation services. You don't have to build the next ChatGPT. You can get paid thousands just for setting up existing AI tools for businesses that don't have the time. Or high-ticket freelancing. The trick there is to stop charging by the hour and start charging for the outcome. Then you've got things like a YouTube channel or affiliate marketing, where the big boss paddle is consistency and getting eyeballs on your stuff. And digital products? Great potential, but then you have to become a marketer. The main point here is that every single one of these has a real challenge. There's no magic button.
And I know what you're probably thinking, but I don't have any of these skills. And you know what? Nobody is born with them. Nobody. Skills are learned. YouTube is free. Google is free. Practice is free. You know what's really expensive? Indecision. That's the thing that costs you the most.
So to fight that indecision, let's just lay out a super clear, actionable blueprint. No guesswork, just a step-by-step plan you can follow for the next 6 months. Here's how it works. For the first couple of months, you pick one skill and you just obsess over it. Study, practice, and yeah, maybe even do some work for free just to build up proof that you can do the thing. Then, months 3 and 4, you start charging, but you keep the rates low. The goal here is getting testimonials and dialing in your process. Then, by months 5 and 6, you've got results, you've got testimonials. Now you can confidently raise your rates to what you're actually worth.
And after all that focused work, what's a realistic target? We're talking $3,000 to $5,000 a month. And let me be clear, this is not a get-rich-quick promise. It's just a very realistic outcome for 6 months of focused, dedicated effort.
So it's this straightforward. Why doesn't everyone do it? Well, honestly, because it's kind of boring. It's not sexy. It's not going to go viral. There's no instant validation. It's just you putting in the work when nobody's watching. So many people want the guarantee of success before they'll put in the effort. But life and business just doesn't work that way.
When you strip everything else away, it really just comes down to this simple formula. Your income is your skill, times your distribution, that's your ability to reach people, times your consistency. If any one of those 3 things is a 0, well, your income is going to be 0 too.
Look, 6 months from now is going to come whether you do anything or not. That's a fact. So you're left with a really simple choice. Will you show up in 6 months having actually built something, or will you show up in 6 months wishing you had started today? That's it. There is no third option. You either build something or you wish you had. So the final question is simple. Which one is it going to be?
All right, let's talk about something real. Are you just tired of trading your time for money? Well, today, we're going to look at how to change that. We're diving into passive income, an idea that can totally reshape your financial life and honestly, give you back some control.
Does this sound a little too familiar? You're working hard, putting in the hours, but then you look at your bank account and think, where did it all go? How am I not any closer to where I want to be? Yeah, most of us were taught that the only way to make more money is to just work more hours. But you know what? That's a trap.
And if you feel this way, you are absolutely not alone. I mean, check this out. A 2022 survey found that a whopping 60% of Americans have less than $1,000 in savings. This isn't just a few people struggling here and there. It's a huge issue. It's proof that a paycheck by itself, well, it's just not enough to build real wealth.
And that brings us to this really important idea, the time for money trap. It's this cycle where your income is completely tied to the hours you're on the clock. You stop working, the money stops coming in. Simple as that. So, passive income, that's your escape route. It's about building systems that make money for you even when you're not actively working. But before we jump into all the cool strategies, we have to talk about the real barrier. And I'm going to bet it's not what you think it is. It's not about how much money you have. It's not about a lack of opportunity. It's actually about what's going on right up here in your head. Yep. The single biggest thing holding most people back is their own psychology. It sounds crazy, but we are literally hardwired in a way that makes building wealth for the long term feel, well, almost impossible, even when we know exactly what we're supposed to do. And there's actual science that shows us why this is so hard. We are 3 times more likely to spend money on something that gives us a reward right now than to invest it for a way bigger payoff down the road. Our brains just crave that instant gratification, and that impulse is what keeps so many of us stuck. And this isn't just theory. Look at the actual numbers. The cost of that impulse is huge. Just investing $100 a month, that's less than a couple of takeout orders, can explode into over $17,000 in just 10 years. It's all thanks to the magic of compounding. And in 20 years, that same small investment grows to over $55,000. That is the real price of choosing now over later. Okay, enough about the problem. We get it, right? We know the trap. Now let's get to the good stuff, the solutions. Here are 5 proven ways to start making your money work for you instead of the other way around. So we're going to look at 5 realistic, tested strategies that people are actually using right now. We're talking dividend stocks and ETFs, high-yield savings accounts, rental properties, digital products, and even something called peer-to-peer lending. But first, let's get one thing crystal clear. Passive income does not mean do nothing and get rich. That's a total myth. It's about front-loading your effort. So instead of trading your time for money again and again and again, you build a system, an asset, that can work for you 24/7, long after you've put in that initial work.
Okay, let's start with dividend stocks and ETFs. Think of it like this. You're owning a tiny little piece of a bunch of successful companies. An ETF is just a basket of different stocks, which is great because it spreads out your risk. So let's say you invest $10,000 into a dividend ETF that pays a 4% yield. Boom, that's $400 a year that just shows up without you having to touch your original investment.
All right, next up we have two totally different animals. A high-yield savings account is basically the safest, easiest place to start. Super low effort, very low risk. Just parking $5,000 in one of these can earn you over $200 a year. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, you've got real estate. A rental property is way more effort and has more risk, for sure. But the reward can be much higher. With a solid down payment, you could be looking at an extra $400 a month after all your expenses.
Now for the really modern stuff. If you know something that other people want to learn, you can package that knowledge into a digital course. The potential here is insane, as you can see. It takes a lot of work up front, no doubt about it, but once it's built, it can make you money for years. And then there's peer-to-peer lending. This is where you basically get to be the bank. You can spread $5,000 across a bunch of different loans and earn some really solid returns. Your money is literally working while you sleep. And this right here is the secret sauce. It's the part most people miss. The power of stacking. On their own, some of these income streams might not seem like a lot, but look what happens when you combine them. Just these three, dividends, savings, and a rental property, add up to over $5,000 a year in new income. It's not about finding one home run. It's about building multiple, reliable streams over time. Okay, so knowing all this is great, but knowledge without action? It's pretty much useless. So this last part is all about action. It's your no excuses plan to finally get moving and take that first critical step today. I already know what you might be thinking, because these are the 3 roadblocks that stop almost everybody. I just don't have the time. Or I don't have enough money to even start. Or the big one. It just feels way too risky. Let's break these down right now. Here's the hard truth. Doing nothing is actually the riskiest thing you can do. Every single day you wait, inflation is like a silent tax that's just eating away at the value of your cash. Every month you don't invest is a lost opportunity for your money to grow. The real danger isn't trying something new, it's staying exactly where you are. Let me just tell you a quick story about Sarah. She was stuck, living paycheck to paycheck, and honestly believed that this kind of stuff was just for rich people. But she started small. She invested just $100 to learn how to create a simple digital product. It wasn't an overnight success story, but 18 months later, she's making a consistent $800 a month from that system she built. That first tiny step was the hardest, but it was everything because it proved to her that this was actually possible. So here it is, your simple 4-step plan. Step 1, just pick one strategy we talked about. Don't overthink it. Step 2, take one small manageable step this week. Step 3, as soon as you can, automate it so the system works without you. And step 4, and this is crucial, celebrate your wins, no matter how small they are. This builds proof for your brain that you can do this. You see, momentum compounds, just like money does. I want you to think of it like this. Every single dollar you invest today, it's like planting a tiny seed. You're not going to have a giant oak tree tomorrow, but you give it 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, and that seed grows into something that can actually provide for you year after year. That kind of future isn't built on luck. It's built by the small, intentional seeds you plant today.
So I'll leave you with this question. The absolute best time to plant your financial tree was yesterday. We all know that. But the second best time is right now, today. So, what tree are you going to plant? Thanks for watching, and be sure to subscribe for more strategies that actually work. Now, go get started.